Hello everybody and welcome to Simi Arora channel, and I have a question for you. And the question is, do you get angry at times? You'll be like, Simi, of course, I get angry many a times. Well, there are many reasons to get angry, and we can get angry at people or circumstances, and sometimes we can get angry at ourselves. So today we're going to explore the 5 major reasons of building up this anger in our being. Well, you know that on this channel I talk about self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-leadership, and also the promising and practical ways to build more resilience in our being. So if you like this kind of content, then subscribe to the channel and continue to watch the video till the end. And while we're talking about anger, which is one of the most prominent emotions that we use a lot more these days, because we are a lot more frustrated and anxious in the recent times. And anger is a great emotion when it is used consciously, but more or less everybody's using anger unconsciously. And that leads to disaster, more damage, and also it affects our mental health in a big way. So let's figure out a couple of reasons on why we build anger psychologically and subconsciously. Number 1 reason is when someone attacks our belief system. This is a big one. While people argue and fight over the belief systems, and it is due to the ignorance. When we are in an argument with someone and we believe that they're attacking our beliefs and they're coming at us or they're wronging us, what happens is we immediately stand up and our ego is like trying to protect ourselves and immediately start to build up this anger. And at times we verbally say things to people that we shouldn't be saying. And then later on we feel bad about why we built up so much of anger unnecessarily. But that's one of the psychological reasons. When our beliefs, which are embedded in the subconscious mind, are attacked, then subconscious ego rises up, and then it's becoming defensive. It is trying to protect that belief system and builds up the anger. Second is when people believe that someone else is responsible for what they're experiencing in their life. This is the most common one. Because you did this to me, I'm angry. Because you did not put things in the right place, I'm angry. And especially this happens a lot in the household and also at times in our business workplace as well. When we believe that other person is supposed to be behaving in a certain way, and if they're not, or other person is supposed to be using such and such words while talking to me, if they are not, then I'm gonna get angry. And well, it is the easiest thing to happen between a couple or people living together, because obviously, you know, people are gonna do things differently, and they're gonna sometimes not agree with you or say things that are nasty, and you know, so on and so forth. Many kind of complications and conflicts arises. But when we feel that I am suffering because of you, that I am going through this pain because of you, that my life is screwed up because of you, then we start to build anger. And it's sort of like giving away your power in someone's hands and saying that you are responsible for my happiness. Well, this is all happening subconsciously. And that's what I said, that anger is created subconsciously many a times, and that's what we are trying to understand. Third is when we feel helpless and trapped in a certain situation or circumstance that we don't want to be in. And when we don't know how to deal with it, we start to build anger. Well, it is very confusing, because obviously there's going to be frustration and anger because you don't want to be in that situation. But at the same time, rather than building anger, if you look at that situation with a proactive approach and solution-oriented approach, we might find a way to address that complication in a better way. But because everything is subconscious and we feel so helpless, we feel so trapped, there's a surge of this cortisol, stress chemicals in the body, the thinking is all around that challenge and not the solution, we start to feel anger. Because here anger is trying to protect us and find some outlet of that emotion of frustration, and that emotion of frustration is coming out in form of anger. Fourth is when sometimes we do not like the way the things are happening because we don't like changes. We exactly want things to be happening in the way we want them to happen. And these are the people that we call control freaks. When we are used to doing certain things in a certain way and someone else comes and want to change it, and we freak out and we start to build anger because there's a resistance to change. But what happens is, more or less, all the time you're changing and evolving, and all the time there are external situations that are building up or bringing up that change. And in this scenario, the anger is built up because you feel a certain threat or a damage, or a resistance to the change, or someone else overpowering that particular situation, and you feel threatened about that. So there are people who are control freaks because they want things to be in a certain way, and when things are not in a certain way, they feel that they're losing control. And that losing control, the fear of that, comes in the form of anger. And the fifth one itself is a big deal, which is fear. Now, fear can happen because of many different reasons that can show up in a person's life as a challenge. But anger overpowers that fear because the fear doesn't know how to deal with itself. You don't know how to deal with the fear. Fear is a weak emotion. And sometimes when we cannot address the fear in a logical and rational way, we use the help of anger emotion. We want to show up in the world as someone who's strong and sturdy and resilient, and we use the facade of anger to kind of overpower and cover up this fear. But in reality, what is happening is that we are just covering up. We are not addressing the fear, because that fear is also coming from certain thought pattern and a certain belief. And instead of addressing that, instead of going into the deeper understanding of our being, we develop this facade of anger. Well, I'm sure if you're thinking about this deeply, you will find out that many a times we use the facade of anger to cover up our fears. Now, obviously, this was not all of the reasons, but I primarily covered many important reasons and psychological factors that induces this anger. Now, the question is, how do I understand my anger? Now, what I can suggest to you is to introspect on all these areas: beliefs, helplessness, someone else is responsible, am I losing control, or am I covering up my fear? You'll notice that at least there's one or two aspects that'll come up in your awareness, and you notice that there's a pattern of instigating that anger emotion in your being. So I would really encourage you to use anger consciously, where anger is required as an emotion and where you want to consciously enforce a point, because it is not only good for you, but for humanity at large, where you're fighting for justice, where you are standing up for something that is deeply aligned with your true being, and also is helping in creating more positivity and impact in other people's life. Use anger, but do not just create anger because your ego is somehow telling you to just be defensive. And go back to your subconscious mind and ask yourself, why do I bring these thoughts of anger? What it is telling me? What type of beliefs are the cause of this type of thoughts of anger in my being? Because anger, when it is not handled properly, and when you're not aware of the subconscious anger, is causing damage to your body. It's deregulating the genes. It is affecting your body at cellular level. It is damaging your energy levels, and it is making you feel more stressed, and not as a person who's very productive and efficient and happy. So I hope this was insightful, and I'll be so excited and happy to read some of your comments under this video. Let me know what you found useful, and what is something that you are going to try to find as a psychological root cause of your anger. I'll be more than happy to help further. Let me know if there is any question around that. I'll be happy to reply back to that as well. So if you like this video, please share the video and also hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't still. All right, and looking forward to see you in the next video now. Take care. God bless you. Love you all.